Shalom. Giving all praises to YAHAWAH, BaHa, YAHAWASHI, BaHa, QADASH. Giving all praises to YAHAWAH, BaHa, YAHAWASHI, BaHa, QADASH. I'm going to title this video, Christianity, Code for the Doctrine of Discovery, a fulfillment of Revelation chapter 20. So I looked up discovery doctrine, right? Also known as the doctrine, the discovery doctrine, or also called the doctrine of discovery, also known as the Renaissance. Part of the doctrine of discovery is also known as the Renaissance because the Renaissance came with the doctrine of discovery. When you discovered the new world, you were supposed to come with this art, language, religion, Renaissance religion, which is Esau's form of Christianity, which is not true Christianity. Anyway, I'll see how far I'm going to go with this. Might be short. Then again, it might go long. Let's see where the Spirit takes me. It says the doctrine, the discovery doctrine, also called, and see, let me say this. Here I go ranting again. You bird brain, idiotic, boneheaded Negro. I'm not even going to call you Israelites right now. I'm going to refer to you as Negroes. You go to church, you believe everything. Well, now you have black pastors that do the bidding, the nastiness of the so-called white man when he gave you Christianity, which I call plantation Christianity. His form of Christianity is Renaissance Christianity. Destroy everything that's black, so-called black, and put everything and replace it with everything that's white. Instead of a black God, which we know the God, the power of the Bible, the God of the Bible is a so-called black man. We know his son is a so-called black man. We know the angels, if they come down in human form, they come down looking like black men. We know the sons of Israel are people of color. But here you got the hammerhead Negro. And see, this is why Bishop Nathaniel made a major mistake in going to them churches. Because ultimately, what did they do? They attacked you. They physically attacked you. One old Jake pulled a 9 on you, held it sideways to some of your men's head. You put your men in grave danger doing that stupid move. And Geno Jennings, you surrounded his church. You used, that's clearly intimidating. You got a bunch of old people up in there, old stupid Negroes up in there. And here you're going to surround the church. But one church said, no, it ain't going to happen at this church. Because we got 9s. And mainly was in women. They said, fuck these niggas in the purple and gold. We gonna fuck them up. Yes, sir. Anyway, you can't wake up the dead. What you be better off marching around the cemetery and preaching to them. Get a better response. You won't get no pushback. Here you are trying to wake up deadheads. They don't understand. A lot of them can't read. And the ones that could read don't read. They don't go into history. The churches don't go into biblical history. They don't go into the image of the so-called white Christ. They don't do that. We do that. And so the the birth of this whole thing is Revelation chapter 20. That's that old serpent, the devil, and Satan, the dragon, the red dragon, the beast, whatever you want to call him. In Revelation 20, it gives you a list of his names: the serpent, the devil. So it says here, this the discovery doctrine, also called the doctrine of discovery, is a concept. And I didn't write this. I don't own Wikipedia. I don't control. This is not my page. Wikipedia is not my page. Google is not my page. I don't control Wikipedia. I don't control DuckDuckGo. I don't control Google. This is their information. Also called the doctrine of discovery, is a concept of public international law. Public international law. International law, also known as public international law, the law of nations and international ethics, is a set of rules, norms, and standards generally recognized as binding between nations. It establishes normative guidelines and a common conceptual framework for states. You can read that. I'm not going to read anymore. But basically, it means international law is you're dealing with other nations. You know, when NATO was formed, when the EU was formed, when the BRICS was formed, they had to either go into the law, or they had to make up laws. They had to write new laws to govern that treaty. So it says that also called the doctrine of discovery, is a concept of public international law that was promulgated by Christian, keyword is Christian, really the Antichrist, because they're against the Messiah. The pseudo-Christ, the pseudo-Messiah, they're against the Messiah. They crossed out the true Messiah, which is a so-called black man, Revelation 11:8 on down. They crossed him out. And what did they replace him with? Their version of the Messiah, which is a so-called white man. And here it is, August 11th, 2022, year of YAHAWASHI, BaHa, YAHAWASHI, turning up by SHAM QADASH. Because the QADASH is turning up too. It says that was promulgated by Christian European monarchies. Christian monarchy or monarchies. Monarchy was the prevalent form of government in the history of Europe throughout the Middle Ages. Now, the Middle Ages, we may go into that. Middle Ages was when we was in power, and we were in power at that particular time. And I might look that up. Only occasionally competing with communism, notably in the case of maritime republics and the Swiss Confederacy. Let me see if I can grab. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see if I can grab this. Middle Ages. Let me see if I can grab this. Now, you know what I'm gonna have to do? Let me click on this. Bear me for a minute. Middle Ages. Okay, let me do this. Oh yeah, you gotta. What is patent 060606 microchip and famous Bill Gates patent number? What more evidence or receipts do you need? Let me do time period. The period of European history extending from about 500 to 1400 to 1500. So we're talking about 1,000 years. But that 1,000 year reign for us and Esau being taken down was really, it really started back in 325 with Constantine. But we can deal with this. We can go with this because they were going down, and they totally went down during this 1,000 year, 900 year, 1,000 year period. That's why in the title I mentioned Revelation chapter 20, an important breakdown, an important prophecy. So we had rulership. Really, if you want to go deep, if you want to get technical, we really ruled for almost about 1,300 years. But we were rooted in this thing 500 years up until the late 1300s, going into the mid to late 1400s. That was a solid 1,000 years. So the Most High wasn't lying when he wrapped that damn chain around that devil for 1,000 years. Esau doesn't have power. The Most High, YAHAWAH YAHAWASHI, BaHa QADASH, has the power. He set us up kings and brings kings down and set up new kings, sets up empires. What is that? Daniel 4 verse 17. And he ruleth in the what? He ruleth in this world, the kingdom of men. The only reason why Esau came into power is because the Most High allowed him to put him in power to fulfill prophecy. You are nobody. As Michael Jackson told Wesley Snipes in Bad, you ain't nothing. You ain't nothing. Anyway, it says the period of European history extending from about 500 to 1500 CE, which means common era, is traditionally known as the Middle Ages, is also known as medieval times. It's also known as Dark Ages. The term was first used by 15th century scholars to designate the period between their own time. They're telling you right there, they're talking about their own time, meaning when Esau came in, right? And the fall of the what? Of the Western Roman Empire. Remember, you had the Eastern Roman Empire, which was ruled by Jake, which stayed in power. You had the Western Roman Empire, which was ruled by Esau and Jake, but they lost their power. So we were in power during these years. That's a solid 1,000 years. And then some, another 300 years. And it's also known as medieval, in the middle of a bad time. For who? Evil means bad time. That's all it means. Eve meaning time, and ill meaning bad, sick. Why medieval period is called Dark Ages. Some scholars perceive Europe as having been plunge into darkness. And when they say darkness, you know what they mean by darkness. Dark people took over. When the Roman Empire fell, that was a Western Roman Empire, in around 500 AD. That's when you went down completely. You started going down. You started really going down about 100 AD or CE. Common Era, AD, Anno Domini, year of our Lord. The Middle Ages are often said to be dark because of the supposed lack of scientific and cultural advancement. That's bullshit. Well, in a way, they're right. It's scientific and cultural advancement from them, because you were under us. You were under us. You were nobodies. You were getting kicked in your asses sideways, and we had the power. So they're not going to recognize us. You were not ruling. It was Jake that was ruling. The fulfillment of Revelation 20. During this time, feudalism was the dominant political system. What does feudalism mean? Feudalism simply means feud, which means fees or taxes. They were getting heavily taxed. See what Jake was doing? You were taxing them. So when they got the power sheet, they taxed the hell out of you. This system that you call a democracy, a republic, is really a feudal society. Why do you think they hiring almost 90,000 IRS agents? Because they're going to tax the hell out of everybody. That's called feudalism. And I understand why they're going to do it, because they want to try to save this system. I don't got to read anymore. But Middle Ages, Dark Ages, medieval times, that was about 1,000-year period when they said, right here, they said the Middle Ages are often said to be dark because of a supposed lack of scientific and cultural advancement. Yeah, because they wasn't there to experience it. They were getting their ass kicked. They were working. They were slaves up under us. And when we got taken down, there was still Jakes that were in rulership. When Esau started going down, that was from 325, Constantine, which was a Jake, sat on the throne and so forth. And Esau started going down. Esau was pretty much buried and no more. That was between this time period right here. But it said they were going to come back up. So let's come back over here. Okay. It said the discovery doctrine, also called the Doctrine of Discovery, is a concept, an idea of public international law or law of the seas. Maritime admiralty law is also international law that was promulgated by Christian European monarchies in order to legitimize the colonization and evangelization of lands outside of Europe, where the dark people are, the Americas. The Israelites are already there. Gad, Reuben, all the tribes. They said what? European monarchies, Christian, they did it in the name of Christianity. European monarchies, in order to make legitimate the colonization. What does colonization mean? It's a nice way of saying robbery. Colonization or colonization constitutes large-scale population movement wherein migrants maintain strong links with their or their ancestors, former countries, by such links gaining substantial privileges over other inhabitants of the territory. Meaning we got stronger weapons than you, so we're gonna take. That's what that means. We're stronger than you. We can kill you. We can take you down. So we taking your shit. How do you think the Roman Empire got so strong? Because they used iron weapons more than the empires before them. And what they did was they said, look, we're going to take you over, but we're not going to kill you as long as we can tax you. You can do whatever you want. That's colonization, which is a little bit different from slavery. See, the Roman Empire, which was different from the other empires before them, they didn't put you in slavery traditionally. They taxed the hell out of you, which was a feudalism. Look up feudalism again. When colonization takes place under the protection of, you know what I got to do? Let me click on that. When colonization takes place under the protection of colonial structures, it may be termed settler colonialism. That's what they did when they came over. The 13 colonies was what? Colonies is a nice way of saying we robbing your land because we're stronger than you. So the original Christianity from Europe, they didn't come in the name of love and peace, love your enemies, and and so forth, and all that good stuff. These were devils. That's why they're being revealed right now. This often involves the settlers dispossessing indigenous inhabitants. That's a nice way of saying the settlers, these people from another part of the world, came to your world and took your shit. Or instituting legal and other structures which systematically disadvantaged them. They took what you had and you had less of what you were supposed to have. And you should be happy because they could take all your shit because they can kill you. That's what the Roman Empire was all about. What do you think Putin is doing with Ukraine? Militarily, they're stronger than Ukraine, or believe that they're stronger than Ukraine, and they're saying we take your shit. And the first thing they started saying was Putin is a madman. No, Putin's not a madman. Putin knows that he has power over other lands and he can take them. And you go back to the beginning of time. It was always the man with the biggest stick or the biggest sword or the bigger armies. That's human nature, man. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna colonize a whole planet. Let me read a little bit more. Colonization can be defined as a process of establishing foreign control over target territories or people. That's a nice way of saying we stronger than you. We can kill all of you. We're not going to kill all of you, but we're going to put you in slavery or make you tributaries to us for the purpose of cultivation so we can grow our own shit. This is our shit. Often by establishing colonies, 13 colonies. And then the 13 colonies came against the monarchy because they were being treated bad. Well, guess what? You went over there to treat other people bad. You bunch of fucking devils. And possibly by settling them. Oh, I like this place. We're going to stay here for a while. Matter of fact, we're going to stay here forever. In colonies, we read about you, Mr. White Man, and your good works, your good Christian works. In colonies established by Western European countries in the Americas, Australia, who did they encounter in Australia? The Aborigines, right? Sons of Japheth. Americans, the Indians. Then you go to Central and South America, the rest of the tribes. And New Zealand, those were the sons of Japheth, settlers, supplemented by Central European, Eastern European, Asian, and African people eventually formed a large minority of the population after killing, assimilating. They killed some of them, assimilate them, meaning they popped their women and had babies that looked half like them and half like the original people, the natives, or driving away indigenous people. So they pushed you out. They pushed you out. So let's come back over here. Discovery doctrine. Lands outside Europe between the mid 15th century. That was the end of the Dark Ages, as they called it. They coined it that. Middle Ages, Dark Ages, medieval times, a century in the mid 20th century. This idea called European entities to seize, a nice way of saying steal is seize, right? Oh, we just seized you. We didn't steal, no. We seize the land. That's what we do. That means steal. Seize lands inhabited by indigenous people, Gad, Reuben, the rest of the 10 tribes, under the guise of discovering new land, meaning land not inhabited by Christians. So when they went over there, they said if the tribes would have said we're Christians, which they were, if the tribes would have said we're Christians, they couldn't do nothing to them. They asked them, are you guys Christians? But what's a Christian? Okay, we can kill them. And we can take their land because they're not Christians. That's how the devil operates, and he hasn't changed. Let's get a little bit more of this here. History. The doctrine of discovery emerged during the age of exploration. The age of discovery, as known as the early modern period, was a period largely overlapping with the age of sail. Yep, because they sailed to the New World, approximately from the 15th century to the 17th century in European history, in which seafaring Europeans explored regions across the globe. They took the whole world. In 1452, Pope Nicholas V issued the papal bull Dum Diversus, which authorized Portugal to conquer Saracens and pagans, because they called you pagans. What's a Saracen? Saracen was a term used by European Christians during the Middle Ages to refer to Muslims. Usually, oh, y'all Muslims? Kill them. During the Middle Ages, to refer to Muslims, usually Arabs, Turks, and Iranians, which are Persians. The terms meaning involved during its history of usage in the early centuries of Christianity. So Christianity was all about what? Conquering nations, enslaving them, raping their women, and putting them into slavery and killing them and taxing them. That's what Christianity is all about in the name of their Christ. Both Greek and Latin writings use Saracen to refer to the people who lived in, I'm not going to go further into it. Saracens were not Europeans. They were basically Arabs, Mohammedans, pagans. That's the rest of them. They deemed the tribe of Gad, the tribe of Reuben, the tribe of Issachar, all throughout Canada. You had Gad all up in Canada. Central and South America, you had the tribes down there. They deemed them all as being pagans. So look, they're not Christians. So guess what? We can kill them and take their land based upon the good Pope Nicholas V, who issued this papal bull. And there was a series of papal bulls. It says, where am I? Okay, I read. Okay. The papal bull was authorized. And by the way, I was listening to this program. I forget the guy's name. He's a Gadite. He was going deep into that history, man, of Columbus and the papal bulls. And he mentioned these popes. And he mentioned the word Saracens, pagans, and consigned them to perpetual what? To make them slaves, perpetual servitude. They said, we're going to put them in slavery forever. That's your Christianity. That's your Christianity, old black man, old black woman. The biggest weapon that we have is the truth. His successors issued several bulls confirming or expanding the Portuguese, which Spain, the power at that time was out of Turkey, the Turkish, because they took down the Byzantine Empire, and Portugal and Spain. And by the way, Christopher Columbus wasn't Italian. You got Italians celebrating Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus was a Spaniard. He was a crypto Jew. That's why he knew about the Apocrypha and he knew about the scriptures. It's a right to subjugate non-European peoples, anybody that didn't look like them, in newly explored territories, Canada, the US, Central America, South America, and then the rest of the world that they discovered. On May 4, 1493, Pope Alexander, Pope Alexander VI, do we know this guy? Who's this guy, Pope Alexander VI? Let's deal with this guy, Pope Alexander VI. Name sounds familiar. Children, Caesar Borgia, Lucrezia Borgia, and more. Caesar Borgia, Lucrezia Borgia, they had a sexual relationship. Giovanni Borgia, Geoffrey Borgia. So who's Pope Alexander VI? Aragon Rodrigo studied law at the University of Bologna, I believe you say that. Bologna. Pope Alexander VI was head of the Catholic Church and ruler of the Papal States from 11 August 1492 until his death in 1503. So what did he rule? 11 years. Born into the prominent Bourgeois family in Zextiva under the crown of Aragon Rodrigo Bourgeois. Studied law at the University of Bologna. So let's come back. That's why in the United States and around the world, the picture of so-called Jesus Christ is, bear with me for a minute. Okay, we're back over here. Is Caesar Borgia. I told you, I told you, IUIC, you ain't got no business going to them churches. You'd be better off going to cemeteries, man. At least in a cemetery, ain't nobody gonna pull a 9mm on you. Ain't nobody gonna take a shoe off and try to put a hole in your head. That was a stupid move. I know you mean well. The Most High is only dealing with the elect. If we don't go to them, the Most High is going to lead them, the elect, to us. So it says here, going into history now, Pope Alexander VI, Rodrigo Bourgeois, issued the papal bull known as Inter Terra. Now this right here, right? This is about them taking. I already knew about the Americas, so this was about them taking over South America. That's why everybody that lives in Central and South America speak what? They speak Spanish, because it was the Spaniards that took them over, the conquistadors, and they took the middle, not the middle of Florida. Also, Mexico, New Mexico, because they took that, the Alamo, that was part of Mexico. They took that, the Battle of the Alamo, and going all the way to the west, California, those places. A lot of them Spanish names because it was the Spaniards that had it. The Middle America was the French, and the East. Northeast was the English, so we speak English. The official language of the U.S. is English, right? So why is Latin on the dollar bill, y'all? It says issued the papal bull known as Inter. Now you know what I'm gonna do? I can't hardly see that. It says, I think that's Portuguese or Portuguese, Spanish. That's why you go anywhere in Central America, they speak Spanish because of their conquerors and they're Roman Catholic. Why? Because their conquerors are Roman Catholic. Let's take this word out. Okay, let's pronounce it. What's going on?
Intercetera.
Let's get a little information on this. The hell? To our readers in the U.S., please don't scroll past this Thursday. For the first time recently, we humbly ask that I get rid of this motherfucker. Okay, I didn't want to give him nothing. Hell to hell with him. Intercetera, right? Intercetera, among other works, as a papal bull issued by Pope Alexander VI on 4 May 1493, which granted the Catholic monarchs King Ferdinand II of Aragon and Queen Isabella I of Castile all lands to the west and south of a pole-to-pole line 100 leagues west and south. So what was west of Spain? Over here on this side of the world, the Western Hemisphere, west and south. This is west. Up here you got Canada, you got the US. So this is west and south. That's why you see this map here, which granted to the, so these Christians, the true Christianity is about being a thief, man. Rape, rob, and murder. Catholic monarchs, King Ferdinand II of Aragon and Queen Isabella I of Cat. And by the way, when a man and a woman got married, they had high office. It was out of convenience to grow there. Sometimes empires got bigger when you had one empire that a woman was monarchy and another empire, and they had talks, and they married. You know, they got married, and then so now you have a bigger kingdom. They said all lands of the west and south, which is America. America is the uttermost west, and south is all the way down South America. Because they already knew this was in 1493. This was a year after Columbus found a new world. So they said, okay, now we found a new world. We're gonna make this guy rich, and we're gonna take this. We already planned what we're gonna do. It says pole to pole, lying 100 leagues west and south of any of the islands of the rest of the Cape Verde Islands, which is off the coast of Africa, and the Cape Verdeans are Jake that lived in that place west of, what was that? That's east of Africa. It said it remains unclear whether the Pope intended a donation or sovereignty or an infeudation to tax somebody or investiture. They didn't know what they're going to do. So we tax them, so we kill all the people, so we put them in slavery, so we bring them back over here to Spain. And that's what Christopher Columbus did. First act he did was he carried over 500 indigenous people to Spain and he said, these people will make good slaves. Let's grab 500 of them. This is in the name of Christianity. This is the roots of your Christianity. Rape, robbery, murder, adultery, feudalism, servitude. That's why the slave masters over here in America, they didn't feel guilty. They looked at it as this is God gave us this gift. This is a gift from God. But we can't put you in slavery. It says differing interpretations have been argued since the bull was issued, with some arguing it was only meant to transform the possession and occupation of land into lawful sovereignty. We're going to take the land, and that's going to be our land. In the name of Christianity, in the name of your Christ. Others, including the Spanish crown and the conquistadors, interpreted it in the widest possible sense, deducing that it gave Spain full political sovereignty into Cetera, and its supplement. Do what is that? Do them sick. Now I gotta do them sick quaidem is a papal bull issued by Pope Alexander VI on 26 September 1493, one of the bulls of donation addressed to the Catholic monarchs Isabella I of Castile and Ferdinand II of Aragon, which supplemented the bull Inter Cetera and purported to grant to them all islands and mainlands. I guess it is September 1493, are two of the bull's donations, with these bulls purported to settle disputes between Spain and Portugal. Portugal came out of Spain. They did not address the exploratory and colonial, nice way of saying stealing, ambitions of other nations, which became more of an issue after the Protestant Reformation. Now you got a bunch of new thieves. These are Protestant, the Reformists, the Protestants, the Calvinists. They're nothing but Roman Catholics that broke off and said, "Well, we don't agree on certain things." Why do you think Vocab, as a Calvinist, he believes that Joseph didn't have sex with Mary? He doesn't believe in reincarnation because he believes in the Roman Catholic doctrine, but there were a few things that were changed. That's why they were called reformists. All Christians, it's all in the name of Christianity. And the biggest contribution that Christianity gave to the world was rape, rob, and murder. So now I'm gonna get ready to close it up. At least the spirit jump on me. I'm giving you a little bit of history. So part of the title was Revelation 20, right? So now we can understand Revelation 20. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand that represents YAHAWASHI. And he laid hold on the dragon. Now, who's the dragon? We've just been reading about the dragon for the last, 40 minutes or so? Almost 50 minutes? That's a dragon. That old serpent. Why did he say that old serpent? Because these people, Alexander VI, Pope Alexander VI, Queen Isabella, King Ferdinand, Christopher Columbus, Torquemada, and many others during that time out of Spain and Portugal, they just go back to the devil. These people line goes directly back to Cain, to Esau. And he laid hold on dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil. And the Esau, the so-called white man, is known as the dragon, also known as the serpent, also known as the devil, also known as Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. That 1,000 years period was during the medieval dark ages, from 500 to about 1500, but really it starts at 300, 325. So we really have more than 1,000 years. But when we got rooted in that 500-year mark, Esau had no power whatsoever. From the time of 300, going back about 200 years, they were losing power. Around about 500, they lost complete power. Then it took them 1,000 years, which was like the mid 1400s, to start to come back into power. And none of these Christian theologians, these book writers, these Christian historians, these guys that do these commentaries, they don't know. They're not going to tell you that that's talking about. They're not going to mention Christopher Columbus and the rest of them. Third verse, and cast him into the bottomless pit, which is Europe, and shut him up and set a seal over upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more till 1,000 years should be fulfilled, the end of the dark ages. That's why they said there was no real scientific advancements during that time. Yeah, from you. You didn't figure out nothing. You were on the bottom. And you getting ready to go to the bottom again. And after that, he must be loose a little season. When was he loose? During the time of the paper bulls, Christopher Columbus. I'm not going to read this whole chapter. I'll read most of it. And I saw thrones and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of YAHAWASHI, not Jesus, and for the word of the Most High, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark. Neither had received his mark, as talking about now. This is getting ready to be fulfilled. Some of you shall be cast into prison for 10 days, right? Upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with the Messiah 1,000 years. And that's that king, the first 1,000 years of the kingdom. But the rest of the dead lived not until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy is he that had part in the first resurrection. And that's talking about all Israel, because the ones that don't make it will come back to us. On such a second death have no power, but they shall be priests, even the ones that don't make it. They're going to come back as newborn babies in that first 1,000 years, and the men going to grow up to be priests and kings. But they shall be priests and of the Most High and of the Messiah, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. The saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom. That's the Israelites, starting with the 144,000. Satan freed. Now, when 1,000 years were expired, Satan shall be loose out of his prison. When did that happen? Christopher Columbus coming to the New World. And I'm going to read a couple more verses. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, which is talking about from the time of Columbus coming to the New World up until now. That's why Gog and Magog is mentioned, because that's talking about Russia. So 8 verses happen right before our eyes. To gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and camped and compassed the camp of the saints about. The camp of the saints of Israel. The camp of the saints is also the land of Israel. So they're going to fight in the great Levant. Something's going to happen that's going to lead all those armies in the valley of decision, which is the great Levant, the Fertile Crescent in that region. And that's Joel 2. And the beloved city, we are the beloved city, but the beloved city is also a place as well. And fire, nuclear fire, came down from the Most High out of heaven and devoured them. This is getting ready to happen. And the devil, not the spiritual demon Satan, but the so-called white man that deceived them, was cast into the lake of fire. And that signifies America from a bird's eye or schematic, looking down on the earth, hovering over America, which is the fulfillment of Psalm 91. Only with our eyes shall we see and behold the reward of the wicked. So it's going to look at that whole place. The U.S. is going to be engulfed in fire. So it's going to look like a lake on fire. So this is poetic for, and they were cast into a lake. Nobody picked them up and threw them in some fire. That's poetic. That means they're going to be engulfed. Where the beast and the what and the false prophets are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. That's talking about slavery. It's going from that point on. The ones of you that are left, we gathered the whole world around and put them in shackles and chains, starting with your leaders, Psalms 149 and 5. We're going to put you into captivity. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.